Now that we've gotten a look at all 4 of the bosses in the past, I have a bit of a theory about them. If we look closely at all of them, they definitely share some characteristics with each other and with other prior enemies. First, they all have eyes like the Gloomspawn, and they each have a mane of red hair that's reminiscent of the Blight Ganons from Breath of the Wild. In that game, those were referred to as Phantoms of Ganon, and it seemed that the red hair was meant to represent his spirit. So that might be the case here as well. But another element that each of these creatures share is that they all seem to be fairly humanoid. Like they're unfinished monsters midway to evolving to the final forms we saw in Tears of the Kingdom. Colgera is horrifically dragging itself across the ground instead of flying. Marbled Goma has a human-looking upper body, complete with muscles chiseled into the stone. The Muktarok is the hardest to make out, but you can still tell it has a much more humanoid build than the flying squid it later becomes. But the most compelling of these for me is Queen Goma. She doesn't have wings, appears to only have 2 arms, which are much more delicate than the Tears version, and most importantly, she's literally wearing a dress, complete with a corset and puffs at the wrists. I already suspected that the Queen Gibdo we saw in Tears was the undead version of Twinrova, and while it seems that she's already been Gibdofied here if that's true, it sure seems like it happened recently if she's still wearing a dress. Now I'm starting to wonder if each of these enemies was a humanoid character who has been possessed by Ganon and transformed into these monstrous creatures. Clearly, they needed a little more time to cook, since they all look a little bit like the Animorph version of their final form. But that's just the sense I'm getting from the limited footage we have. And if I'm right, the concept of that is pretty horrifying. If we see people being transformed into these, either willingly or by force, that would be a bit freaky.